Changes into the lineup for Delaware, including seeing some of Amelia Kienzle, a Conestoga product, the freshman, on the field. She was on the draw unit. Just maybe one or two more possessions left in this one. Dominant performance by Delaware today, arguably their best performance of the season. And the offense really revving as of late. They've figured out the timing and precision, and that's really the thing that takes the longest to get going for your offense, the timing and the precision, but it's there now. And it coming at just the right time. Senior also with the clear. Final minute shot clock off, so at this point Delaware can either go for one more goal running their offense, try to get a few new looks into the unit, or they can just soak out the final minute. The Hens ruling the roost today. And a dominant performance all around. A little bit of trouble with D'Antonio, though, locates the ball. DiRuggiero trying to be the first Blue Hen with 10 assists in the game. Pass, though, off the mark. Shoveled back. DiRuggiero picks it up again, 15 seconds. Quick feed. The shot, though, off the mark. And the shot wide in the final 10 seconds. That'll do it here. Horn will sound, and Delaware rules the roost. They win 18-8 against Oregon. A fantastic performance that saw single game records, assists tied by Mia DiRuggiero, tying her own record, 9 assists set last year in March. That was March 8th of 2018. Here today, 9 assists. Caroline Farley also tying her 12 draw controls from earlier in the season. And also of note, the 5 ground balls and 5 calls turnovers by Shantae Sims. Christine Long, 4 goals. Caroline Farley, 4 goals as well. Sydney Rouse also with a hat trick with 3. And as a team, Delaware 18 draw controls, 1 shy of a Delaware Stadium best. But overall, what a fantastic performance by this unit as they set a new single game high this season in terms of goals scored with 18. So they get themselves to 5-5 on the season.
Love living that D3 life. Here's your look at the USILA Division III Team of the Week. How about Ethan Donlan's performance in goal for Haverford? Made 23 saves against Dickinson to help the Fords pick up their highest-ranked win since the 2010 season. And then there's Eric Hustleball from Bridgewater. Scored 13 goals, and he tallied 18 points in a pair of games last week in the ODAC. You can take a look at the other guys honored this week by the USILA as part of the Team of the Week. Good stuff. And that leads us to this week. A couple of games between top 20 teams going down tomorrow.
Let's start in the Centennial Conference. Number 9 Dickinson taking on number 10 Gettysburg. Now the Bullets sit at 3-1 in conference play with a big win over Ursinus, but with a loss to Franklin and Marshall on the other side of things, Dickinson is looking to bounce back from a loss to Haverford last weekend. That was the Red Devils' first loss in conference this year.
Should be a good one. Also tomorrow, 19th ranked Christopher Newport hoping to give top-ranked Salisbury its first loss this season. The Seagulls, the unanimous number 1 team in the country in the coaches poll, receiving all but one first-place vote in the media poll. Christopher Newport looking to get a marquee win in CAC play already with a loss to 5th-ranked York. But when you got to go up against number 1 and number 5 in your same conference, makes things a little difficult. So it'll be interesting to see if Christopher Newport can shock the rest of the country and knock off Salisbury.
Look at that. Hump day games.
Big games.
Good ones, too.
April. This is when you start making your moves for May.
It gets chaotic during this time. This is fun.
I like it. And we'll have it covered for you tomorrow here on Lacrosse Now. Megan, I'm Travis. See you then.
Bye.